Hey there folks, Quentin here, Mask Ramen on the internet with more comic reviews. I was able to go through my long boxes there, and I found my copies of Turok here, Valiant Comics, and XO Man-o-War. And I did read them over again, and reading Turok was pretty cool. I remember it when I was younger, it being cool when it came out. I read it, I thought it was cool. The art is great. Bart Sears was the artist, and I didn't really know any other books drawn by Bart Sears, but I knew from The Wizard that he was sort of like a really good artist because he used to do those how to draw portions in The Wizard magazine. So I knew it. That's all I knew of him. I don't even know now, like, if he did any runs of anything, but he's really, really great. Bart Sears is a really great penciler. And reading the book again, I kind of remember the feeling of thinking that this, as it is issue 1, but in the first few pages, it has like this whole backstory and all these other Valiant characters. And when I was young, and even when I read it again, I felt like I missed out. Like, this doesn't feel like a first issue, and it feels more like I don't know, like somewhere in the middle issue. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting chased, and he's, like, it's happened before. I feel like that's sort of the story. Like, his people died, and then he escapes, and then he goes to this village, and then more people are killed. So it's like, what the hell, dude? This Turok is like the death bringer. So it was weird, and by the end of the issue, it felt really like one and done. It didn't leave me on a cliffhanger or anything like that. It was just like, well, that was it. And I don't know. I'm gonna try to sort of look for issue 2 and see what that's all about. I'm on the hunt for that. And it's like, I don't know. It was a good read. I did like it. It did sort of make me want to play the video game, but at the same time, it made me want to get issue 2 to see, like, where does this go? Because it felt like I said, a one and done. And a one and done first issue is kind of like not really the best way to hook people to get to read your comic book. But I love the cover. I love the chromium, what like an insert or whatever that's called. I don't know what that's called. And it's really, really good. But I guess it may or may not have been super popular, and I understand why. Like I said, really great book, but really feels like a one and done. And it's like, I don't know. That's my opinion on it, and not my opinion as a kid didn't really change as an adult. So good, but it was great reading it, great seeing, going back to it, really nice. And for XO Man-o-War, for some reason, I always thought this was issue number 1, but it is issue number 0. And I didn't realize, I thought I was reading it, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. Joe Quesada, awesome sort of cover, chromium cover like that. Bam, wish more books would look like this, because it's super cool. But yeah, I remember Joe Quesada and him being a really great artist, really. And I forget, because I know he's like the editor at Marvel, and he hasn't really done a lot in a while. And I didn't really like his Daredevil book, but this XO Man-o-War looks really, really cool. And it's like space aliens and armor and stuff like that. Really cool. And I remember getting Ash from Joe Quesada, his sort of creator-owned stuff. But the reason why I did a second take when I was reading it, and I thought, like I said, I was reading issue 1, was this freaking advertisement for issue number 21, and I was like, how does it go from 1 to 21? And I was like, oh, this is issue 0. It must have come out way after, obviously way after this series was already in production. And it's like, that's sort of weird. But yeah, Valiant always has this thing. I guess they had this thing where like they tried to sort of create a universe and put all the characters in there, books within their sort of universe, because I have Solar here. Bam, bam, bam. And it just reminds me like, oh, I have the Solar 3D Vision book, whatever. And I like the design. Of is it Vision? Is that right? Solar. But yeah, this book is really drawn really well. I like Joe Quesada in this book. Now that I think about it, I know he was a Marvel guy, but I don't know what book he was drawing other than the Daredevil Marvel Knights. But that was already him coming back to Marvel from his own independent stuff. But the story is really cool. Like deals with like time dilation and like the perspective of XO Man-o-War, and how he starts as some savage and gets his armor, space age armor, and goes back, and he's like in the far-flung future, but his perspective is like it's just been a week or two or whatever, months or whatever, not thousands and thousands of years. So like I said, the Valiant books have this weird sort of watercolor look. It's not really like the Marvel coloring or DC coloring. It looks a little bit different, and I like I said, I think it's on purpose to set them apart. Like I feel like Marvel and DC, like Marvel has its own coloring, like those books look a certain way, and then DC has its coloring, those books look a certain way. They don't look alike, except for like when it's like a Jim Lee Marvel stuff looks like Jim Lee DC stuff, something like that. But yeah, these books, they're cool, and I do have XO Man-o-War, a couple of issues digitally, and I'll go and read those. But for Turok, I'm gonna sort of whenever I go to a comic store and they have back issues or dollar bins, I'm gonna try to look for some Turoks, because I'm interested in it. Like 30 years later, or 20 years later, however freaking long it's been since Turok is out. So that's it for me. Comic reviews by Mask Ramen, and I have a few more books that I want to read, and I'll do a review on those. I got some Namers and some Tech World. I got Tech World issue 1, so I'm super happy about that. And yeah, comic reviews right here. So if you want to see more, check out my other videos. I am making my own comic book. Check out the reviews for that. Alright, check out the videos for that. I have a playlist up on my YouTube channel, and check out my art on X and Instagram. It's mask_ramen or masked ramen. The link should be in my channel. So check that out, and until next time, God bless.